Longevity tips, right, after retightening. So how to keep your retightening looking fresh to death after you've had your retightening. I would say, again, kind of like what you kind of touched on, Ray. We talked about switching from the silk bonnet to a scarf that is either made with polyester or some type of cotton. That really helps with minimizing the frizz that the silk bonnet likes to create on the hair. And then also just kind of keeps your locks to stay put, right? So that way you don't have to have a retightening as often. Because I think some people get hooked on, hey, I need a retightening because I want to see my scalp, you know? And it's like, no, you really don't need a retightening because we didn't get that much rotations in, right? So we need to be having at least 1 to 2 rotations whenever we are tightening up the locks. If we're not getting that, then we're coming back too soon and we might need to reevaluate that. One of the things I also like to stress is that in the summer months, as opposed to the winter months, your hair actually changes, believe it or not, right? So the same products that you use in the summer, you may not be using them in the winter. Then the other thing that I will also stress is that depending upon where we are in the year, you'll also notice that your hair tends to grow faster in the summertime as opposed to the wintertime, or vice versa. So always be paying attention to that. Ask your loctician, hey, how was the hair growth when you retightened my hair? They should always be talking about, you know what, I didn't get a full rotation in, so you know what, I think instead of coming back 4 weeks next time, why don't you come back in 5 weeks or come back in 6 weeks, right? If people are using that rosemary, I will stress that it will grow the hair. And so if you're using that rosemary, you can guarantee that if you went from getting a 6-week retightening, you're probably going to have to start coming in every 5 weeks because the hair growth is real, right? And so that's another telltale sign that you need a retightening is how much hair growth do you have. If you're having 3 and 4 rotations for sister locks or brother locks, then you probably need to come in a lot sooner than what you realize to get your retightening. So always consult with your loctician on what is your maintenance package or your maintenance schedule for your locks to be retightened, right? So if you have a locking pattern of, we'll just use 4 as a safe measure, right? So that means that you're going to hit all 4 sides of that particular lock box, right? Typically people should be starting at the 9 o'clock mark. And then you go from 9, then you go to 6, you go to 3, and then you go back up to 12. That's 1 full rotation right there. And then you start back over. Then you go back to 9, then you go to 6, then you go to 3, and then you go back to 12. That's rotation number 2. So really you should be having 1 full rotation and a half, where you go 12, 9, 6, 3, 12. Then you go back to 9, and then the loctician should be gauging, is this going to be too tight? If it's too tight and I can't make it all the way around, that's okay. Then I go right back up to 12 and I bring that lock down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, you got anything, Ray?
What is a weekend lock? You had said that if you get it retightened too often, what does a weekend lock? What is that?
So a weak lock may look like the lock looks really thick at the base of the hair, and then it looks really thick at the end, but then in the middle it may have some like stringy type looking effect to it, right? Where it looks a lot thinner. I always say locks are like trees, right? You can literally, when you cut down a tree trunk, right? You know how you see those little ringlets in the trees?
Yes.
It tells on itself. It says, hey, I have been in a flood here. I've been in a storm here. I've been by some fires here. Those rings, not only does it tell the years of how old the tree is, but it also tells you what the tree trunk or the tree has been through. Same thing with your locks. Your locks are like trees. They're like branches. It's going to show, okay, I was consistent in getting a retightening here, and then COVID happened over here, so it's a little bit thinner right here, or my curl pattern is off, or my lock pattern is off right here. It'll start telling you, or I was going through, I've changed my medication here, now I'm on, high blood pressure medicine, and my locks were thick at the base because I wasn't on high blood pressure medicine. And then when I started to become on high blood pressure medicine, my locks started thinning more so at the scalp, right? So it'll start to tell on you. It's a story. Every lock is a story. It's so beautiful.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So those are some inconsistencies that you'll see within a lock, right?
Okay.
So yeah.